Well, let's get the latest from the US. Our correspondent Caroline Malone joins us now live from Washington, D.C. Caroline, a good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's afternoon there for you, but of course, preparations in place and already talks about what the weather will look like tomorrow and certainly how it's going to impact this inauguration.
Absolutely. Well, the weather is already having an impact because the events that were due to take place outdoors are now being moved to indoors. The main inauguration ceremony will take place in the Rotunda in Capitol Hill, inside of Congress. That's an historic room, a chamber where a lot of the historic paperwork from the Constitution is held, and they do have official events. It can only hold about 600 people, though, so only the top of the list, the top officials, executives, business leaders and others will be able to attend and watch Donald Trump as he is formally sworn in to be president of the United States again. That, of course, means that people were planning to watch him out in the open, out in the public, can't do that. So they've had to create a secondary event. That's a huge stadium called the Capitol Arena in downtown Washington, D.C., where there'll be live screens for people to watch live events as they unfold. That's also where a big event happens on Sunday, where Donald Trump really gets his only chance to speak directly to his supporters. In the crowds, up to 20,000 people, which is the maximum capacity of the arena. People, of course, who voted him in, people he has to be grateful to for getting him back into power. An opportunity maybe for him to also lay out some of his plans for what he'll do when he is back into the White House. You know, we've heard some suggestion of his plans for tariffs. We've heard suggestions of reductions in taxes. TikTok's been on the agenda over the weekend as well. So lots of ways in which Trump could potentially have an impact from day one.
Yeah, one of the things that I suppose one can't deny about Trump is that he is, somewhat of a very effective communicator, some have said. I'm looking at the theme of this inauguration and keen to hear, how that was decided and also the discussion that has come from the theme of it, our enduring democracy, a constitutional promise.
Absolutely. You are right there. He does love to communicate. He does love to speak to crowds. And certainly he'll be saying things that captures people's attention, you can expect on Monday. Also, of course, happening over the weekend has been the start of this ceasefire deal between Hamas and Israel. And of course, Donald Trump and his team have claimed credit for that. The timing of it, of course, is very interesting because it's come as he is being sworn back into the White House. Certainly, though, it will be interesting to see going forward whether the US does continue to support this holding of a ceasefire deal. We heard from other leaders concerned that this may not stand. And certainly we know that Donald Trump is a huge supporter of Israel. We'll have to see how things unfold in the days and weeks to come.
Yeah. And then there's also the question around who will be there. I think this is quite interesting. We know that the former presidents certainly are going to be there. Any notable sort of, names that come up, particularly from leaders from other countries that we know will be in attendance? I do know that from former leaders, the former First Lady, Michelle Obama, not going to be in attendance.
No, that's right. She will not be there. She also wasn't at President Carter's funeral that happened a short time ago. But other leaders will be there. As you say, all living presidents of the United States are expected to attend. We're also hearing that the Argentine president, Milei, will be there. Also, the leader of Italy will be there. As for other leaders, though, there are a few other officials. For instance, the Chinese vice president is being set. Actually, Donald Trump and team invited President Xi Jinping of China to come, but the vice president is coming, as well as foreign ministers from places like India and Australia and Japan, who, of course, are known allies of the United States. A big deal, though, is the number of tech executives who will be present at the inauguration event. Among them, Elon Musk, of course, who's a huge supporter of Trump and going to be part of his efficiency department going forward, as well as, we believe, Bezos of Amazon, Zuckerberg, of course, known for Facebook, Meta as the parent company. So really showing strong support there for tech executives to be taking part in this ceremony, as well as quite a few celebrities, people such as Carrie Underwood, who will be singing as part of the celebration in the performance.
Yeah, that's also, that performance by some of the superstars that will be there. Certainly the performance and the singing of even the national anthem, something that I know that a lot of us are really keen to see. Who was chosen for such an important moment? Perhaps some things that you think we might hear differently to what we would have heard in his previous inauguration, right? Important themes that really speak to how different his campaign was in this election.
Absolutely. Well, Trump in his first round as president was something of an unknown. Of course, we've had those 4 years now where people in the public have become more familiar with who he might be as a leader. But one crucial difference this time is that he has the full support of Congress. The Republican Party, his party, have a majority fractionally in the Senate and in the House. And what that essentially means is Donald Trump's plans for any new laws or any bills that he wants to get passed are going to get through those chambers a lot more easily than the last time around. He has suggested he'll do things such as introduce tariffs that could impact global economies in a big way. He's talked about reducing taxes. He's also talked about reducing illegal immigration, a highly contentious issue here because there are up to 11 million people who are in the United States as immigrants without the correct paperwork. Now, it may be, though, that there is some pushback from within his own party if he tries to deport a large number of people, because a lot of the immigrants, of course, that live in the United States, even though they sometimes don't have the correct paperwork, they're key to many industries, such as the agricultural industry. So we can expect that Donald Trump, does have a lot more power in a lot of ways this time round, but it doesn't mean it will be all smooth sailing going forward.
Yeah. Caroline, we do appreciate the update, and I imagine we'll be chatting some more tomorrow as that inauguration does take place. Caroline Malone there speaking to us from Washington, D.C.